Let's work on common reductions. We know native speakers use a lot of reductions in their speech. Reductions really kind of soften the pronunciation, or they help words that are not stressed get reduced, lower tone, as far as relaxed and reduced. And so that way you hear the words that are stressed, meaning that they are a bit more important, or the listener to hear. And so when we reduce words, they're not as important. They're function words, words that are part of a sentence, but they're not important. So therefore they get reduced down, or they're spoken lower than something that is stressed. So when we're stressing a word, we want it to be known that this part is important. Here are some common reductions. First one is of, some of. We typically say summa, some of. Example, some of my colleagues quit. Some of my colleagues quit. Some of my colleagues quit. Some of my colleagues went out to lunch. In America, we typically say co-workers. We don't say colleagues. A lot of international students, they use the term colleagues. We typically say co-workers, but either way is fine. Some of my colleagues went to lunch. Some of my colleagues left already. Some of my. Most of. I know most of you. Most of. I know most of the people here. I know most of. What about out of? Out of is outa. Is she out of her mind? Is she out of her mind? You could say out of, outa. Is she out of her mind? Is she out of her mind? We're out of toilet paper. We're out of milk. Do you hear that? We're out of milk. Number 2, and. I mentioned this in class a lot. It's just a quick in, you and me. Please pass the salt and pepper. Please pass the salt and pepper. Salt and pepper. Let's meet, you and me, you and me, you and me. You and him, you and him, you and him, you and her, you and her. 3, or becomes kind of like that R. Would you like super salad? R. Would you like super salad? Would you like dinner, lunch? R. 4, fur. I mentioned this a lot in class as well. Fur. 4, fur. It's for the best. It's for the best. It's fur. It's for the best. What's for dinner? What's for dinner? What do you want to do for dinner? What's for dinner? I guess I said that. How are you for tomorrow? Are you ready for tomorrow? Are you ready for tomorrow? Are you ready for tomorrow? 5, you. Either ya or ya. Ya. Or you. How have you been? How have you been? You hear the little subtle differences? Let me see if you can hear it. I'm going to try to do it one more time. You. I do you sometimes, but sometimes I do ya, and sometimes I do ya. right? I'm going to do the first one as Y-O-U-U, Y-E-U with the phonetic. How are you today? Or how have you been? How have you been? How have you been? How are you been? How have you been? Or yeah, how have you been? How have you been? How you been? How you been? 6. 2, I mentioned this one a lot. Ta, ta, ta. She always knows what to do. Ta. What are you doing? What are you doing today? I also mentioned today, tomorrow, tonight, ta, ta, ta. She always knows what to do. What are you going to do today? Or where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go for dinner? Where do you want to go for dinner? Where do you want to go for dinner? 7, the letter A. Or which is the relaxed vowel schwa. Your jaw drops midway and the air just comes out. I have a bag. I have a bag. Or when we're implying that it's just one, I have a bag. I have a bag. It's just one bag. For number 8, function words that begin with the letter H. You hear me say this a lot. I don't know, but I've never mentioned it. I have, on occasion, mentioned it. He, him, have typically will drop the H depending on the situation. So that way you just end up hearing, like, for example, let's see who he is and talk to him. So talk to him. Let's see who he is and talk to him. Talk to him. Talk to him. You've got a lot of linking in here. The first, let's go. So it almost sounds like the S lines up with the go, go. Let's go, go. Let's go see. Let's go see who he is and talk to him. A lot of linking going on in there. You've got the go and the C, vowel to consonant, C to who, vowel to consonant, who to he, vowel to consonant, vowel to vowel, he is. S to the and becomes sin, sin, sin. He is in sin, talktum. And if it's let's see who she is and talk to her becomes let's see who she is and go talk to her. Talk to her. Instead of her, it becomes talk to her. Talk to her. Talk to him, talk to her, or if it was them, it becomes m. Talk to them and talk to them, right? Talk to them and talk to them. Any questions on that? Let me know. Number 9, going to. Going to, going to, going to, or you can just shorten it and go gunna, gunna. Going to, gonna. Are you gonna go? Are you gonna go? Are you gonna come out with us? Are you gonna go to dinner? Are you gonna go out tonight? Are you gonna go to the meeting? Are you gonna present in the meeting? Are you gonna go to the game? Go to the game. Number 10 is WAHNna. Want to, WAHNna, WAHNna. Yes, I want to go. Yes, I want to go. Yes, I want to go to the game. Yes, I want to go to dinner. Wanna, want to. 11 is HAAF'tuh. HAAF'tuh, HAAF'tuh, or HAAF'tuh, HAAF'tuh. I have to finish this first. I have to finish this first before we go out. Hold on, I have to finish this first. I have to finish this first. 12, has to. Has to, has to. Has to is has to. He has to leave early. She has to leave early. They have to leave early to catch their flight. He has to leave early to catch his flight. He has to leave early for work. He has to leave early. 13. What do you? What do you? What are ya? What are ya? What are ya? We just put all three words into one. You've got the T as a stop consonant, moving on to the D. Wada. Wada. The tongue catches the T. What do you? Then you've got the vowel to vowel. Stop consonant to the consonant. Then the vowel to vowel. What are you? Well, what do you know? They're here. Well, what do you know? They're here. What do you want for dinner? What do you want for dinner? What do you want to do? What do you want? What do you want? What are you thinking? What are you? What are you thinking? What are you looking for? What are you looking for? See, for. What are you looking for? Number 14. Don't you? Don't you? Don't you? You've got the long O and don't. Don't you? We just round it to don't you. Ch, ch, like a train. Don't you? Don't you hear that? Don't you want dinner? Don't you have a meeting to go to? Don't you have a speech today? Don't you? Don't you? And 15 goes into can't you. Can't you becomes can't you. Can't you tell? Can't you tell? I turn that into Jew. Can't you tell? Can't you go out? Can't you make it? Can't you come on the trip with us? Can't you? Can't you? Now you've got the next one. I'm going to do part 2 separate. I hope that this helps so far.